Twitterly twirt. Oops, wrong one. Hey, YouTube says we're live.
I know I didn't spell that right. Why isn't it auto? Why isn't it grammar checking me here? What did I do wrong? We do need to come up with some honey badger stuff. Wow, I actually spelled everything correctly. That is really unlike me. All right, well, let's tweet it out.
Thank you, Rod. Appreciate it. To be clear, you're talking about the normal show, not just this pre-show garbage we're talking about right now, right?
On. Jump on. Discord. I need Discord this week. Rod. Periscope. Hanging in Brazil. When is Periscope going away? It's got to be going away soon.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
you can't get the client anymore.
Periscope. If I go to periscope.com, it will say... Periscope is saying goodbye. Periscope is grateful to you for live streaming community. Yeah, it just says it's going away. It doesn't say... I mean, yeah, it looks like it's down. Yeah.
Yeah, but like a direct link and an API-based push will still work. Alrighty.
Do you know if they're replacing it with anything?
TikTok.
Do it.
Start
Get
Zencaster.
some music going. Get people on. Yeah, I can do that. Sure.
See, I don't see that message you're saying.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man.
All right. I want to test his lung power.
Yeah. Who's that?
He just rapped for 9 hours straight yesterday or the day before, celebrating 900,000. Are you gonna share your screen or what?
What's going on? We don't know where we're at. We don't know what's going on. You might not even be streaming. How do we know?
You retweeted the stream.
Shut up.
You might have stopped it. We need to keep tabs on you. I know we ask too much.
Oh, I have to. I do actually have something I gotta do. Let me fire up the PHP ugly bot. I At some point, I need to actually put this on a server because I'm putting it on my
Put it on a Raspberry Pi.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea, my friend. All right. If you're in Discord, start with the titles. We haven't even started the show yet. Just put some titles in there. All right. We all ready? What are you yawning for?
Oh, I'm excited. I just have reason to yawn, too.
Well, let's get into it and then we'll figure that out. Huh.
Yeah, get us going there, Eric.
All right, fine. I'll do it.
You're the voice of the show. You have to do it.
I don't even have Trello open. Here it is.
There's nothing in there.
You're
Nothing
listening
to
to
worry
episode, you fucking motherfucker.
All right, there goes our ad revenue from YouTube.
You're listening to episode 234 of PHP Ugly, your weekly dose of PHP stew, PHP soup, PHP just embracing goodness and happiness. We are your disgruntled developers. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
Who's disgruntled? I'm in a great mood.
And
That's it. I quit.
Thank God. Thank God. Finally.
We've been trying to wrap this show up.
No, not that. My job.
Years now.
No, I
And
quit
yet
my
Here
job.
we are. Keep going.
Oh shit. Oh,
Oh.
damn it.
Are you gonna share your screen or what?
We would like to know what's going on. What are you hiding, Thomas? Why are you not sharing your screen? What are you trying to hide from us? Let's go. Gentlemen, we are on episode 234. Just a reminder. 234. It's only going to happen one time, and tonight is that night. Look, I'm not wearing a hat. I'm wearing a geeky button-down shirt. This is a formal event. Everybody should just... Why aren't you guys dressed up a little bit?
Why are you wearing a button-up shirt? That's the better question.
Personal choices, John. Personal choices.
You're
Tom?
lucky I'm wearing a shirt. Most days, I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not going to ask about the pants. Just don't stand up. You're fine right there.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Tom? You got short timers disease?
I tried. I really did. But they keep like messaging me and saying like, "Hey, we need you to like do this and get this out," and they
We're still quote unquote
right,
paying you.
whatever that means. So
So when is
Tomorrow.
your final day? Oh.
and
If you're new to the show, just in case you just happen to stumble upon the show right now, we're all professional PHP developers. Yes,
Believe it
people
or not.
pay us to do this. It's insane and love and life. We're not very good at it, so John and I started our own business because nobody would hire us directly. So there's that. And Thomas has been bouncing around from porn job to porn job, and now he's got a real adult
a
job.
big boy job in the lending industry.
I feel like I feel like we should have leveraged your whole porn experience more for the shock value of the show, but we took the high road on that one. I
Well,
guess.
there were some complaints earlier on.
So, are you allowed to officially state the name of it or not yet?
I need to get a response from the email that I sent out.
Okay.
So
Then we won't talk about it. I didn't want to know about it anyway. I just know tomorrow's your last day, and we
Yeah,
don't care what you're
yeah.
doing on Monday.
no, it's going to start off hard.
You're good.
I've got 3 meetings planned for Monday.
I mean, you're coming from the porn industry. That's
No,
how your days
no.
always started, right? You see,
Days-
we
days
could've
ended
used
easy.
those jokes this whole time.
Start the morning hard. Oh, sorry. I'm feeding into Eric's.
A little late to the show on that.
Slippery scope.
All right, so you got 3
Yeah,
meetings.
3
already
meetings
planned
for Monday.
Is that what you're saying?
And then
Well, your first day, I would expect it to be more.
it's
Slack.
quite a lot of work to do and not much time to do it in. So, but yesterday I got my second dose of my Pfizer vaccine, and that
Nice.
kicked
So
my
how
ass
you feeling?
hard.
Really?
I had no
Oof.
problem. I had no problem at all. Everybody I talked to
First
had
first
issues.
shot was fine, sore arm, nothing big. But I was out of business this morning and last night, and I mean it was body aches, temperature, the whole 9 yards. And I'm feeling better now.
So we should think something somewhere that
Yes,
you're here?
it's
Is
very
that what
lucky
you're
that
trying to
I'm
say?
here right now. Because
I've heard that from lots of people. I've seen the full gamut from Eric, who's had nothing. I had super mild, like just felt off the next day, but not sick. To other family members that were just throwing up and just horrible.
well, it's evidence that requiring the booster is a good call. Because if you didn't have any effects whatsoever, that would mean that first shot was all the effectiveness you needed. But yeah, the booster is obviously important if it knocks you out that bad. So, but it's done. I'm glad.
I think my wife is actually getting close to needing the booster, to be honest with you, because she was like one of the first round to get it, and
Well,
now
they
starting-
haven't determined that, have they?
from what they're saying, it's looking like 6 months is when they're suggesting a booster.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least that's the information my wife is getting, and I've actually heard similar stories on the news as well.
Yeah, Fauci's been talking about it being
Yeah.
a possibility, but they're not sure yet because they don't have enough people who've had the vaccine for 6 months. So
Right. That's the thing. Is like they're not really even sure when a booster is going to be needed. They're at 6 months is when they're going to start, I guess, retesting people and looking at things. But they just haven't had enough time to do a long enough test to have a conclusive timeline of when.
yeah,
boosters
and the
should be
more
happening.
people that get the shot, the less likely that we'll need a booster, because that herd immunity. If we hit that herd immunity number, then you'll have enough people who are resilient that you don't need the second booster for everyone else. So,
All right. Well, this is not
All right.
a Pfizer or any other vaccine podcast. We should.
you guys want to talk about politics?
And we have a show filled of questions here. We've had questions from listeners. I have questions for listeners. I have questions for you guys, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start peppering you guys with questions. I don't even care what you did this week, although I had fun. John really opened up a door for me last week when he suggested I just used my System 76 machine as the remote machine I SSH to, and wow, did it just like change everything for me.
So
I'm
you
like-
told me that. What did you end up doing? All you
As
told me
far
was
as
the SSH. All you told me was the SSH piece. How far did you go? Like, are you running PHP Storm remotely and pushing it
No,
to your
fuck-
machine,
fuck-
or what do you do?
No, don't fuck PHP Storm. I'm not going to say that. If anything, it's all the more reason for me to use Vim. But I'm not about that battle anymore. I have come
I bet.
to the very fine. I'm at peace with the fact that I'm going to use both. So I've been doing a client that I'm working on has me doing a bunch of Nova work, Laravel Nova, and I've done Nova work.
Which one
for
is
them in
that?
the past. We've implemented Nova, Laravel Nova.
Oh,
the
yeah,
admin
yeah.
backend. And I wasn't a huge fan of it at first. I'm like, okay, this is going to take away some of the grunt work, but I can't really see it being used full time by like clients or customers. I just originally envisioned it as like a CRUD real fast for I spin up a database. I need to get some data in that database. I need to make sure that the table relationships are working. Let me throw Nova on there instead of building a front end. But my opinion of that is completely changing. I've been doing a lot of Nova work for this client, and they just had me start on another project where I'm doing more Nova work. And the more Nova work I do, I'm like, wow, this is like, there is so much flexibility in this backend that allows you to get these administrative interfaces to market very quickly. So I'm enjoying that, but I'm stuck in this cycle of using some very Laravel specific stuff. And again, this is where in my opinion, PHP Storm really starts to shine, because it has plugins specifically for Laravel. It understands things like Vue components, Livewire components, things that, I'm sure I can hack something together in Vim, but I'm trying to get stuff done. I'm not worried about that right now. So I'm perfectly fine. I've got my idea Vim RC file dialed in, so my key combinations from Vim to PHP Storm are pretty on par with each other. So I got no problem with it. I will say though. Good.
I was gonna say, I didn't mean to make it a PHP Storm versus Vim thing. I was just wondering, you said you got the SSH into your System 76 working. I was just wondering how far you went with it. What were you trying to do with it other than SSH in and use Vim to code? What else?
Yeah,
what
are you
other
doing like
doors did that
Xterm
open
through
for you?
SSH or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna get to all that in a minute here. I promise you, I'm gonna get there. I will say though, one more thing about PHP Storm, in doing this work today, specifically with the SSH piece, is, have you guys ever seen how much resources freaking PHP Storm takes? Mine was like using 17 gig of memory. 17 gigs. I'm like, I am so fortunate that I have a high-end machine, because I totally understand the complaining people have about PHP Storm, who don't have high-end machines. Now, it's got to be at a freaking crawl. Okay, enough about that. I am not anti-PHP Storm. I use it every day. This is not a Vim PHP Storm thing. So back to John's question. So John had come to, if you listen to the show, I've been playing around a lot with using my iPad more and more. When I leave, I would go to Arizona for a weekend or go somewhere for a weekend and not want to lug my whole laptop with me, because my desktop is a System 76. What are they called, John? Helios?
Helios? Yeah, I think that's right.
Helios. Yeah, it's the desktop. It's not a laptop, so I'm not dragging this thing with me anywhere. And I played around with a couple of solutions. The one I was using was Raspberry Pi. So I have it so that I can connect my Raspberry Pi to my iPad and just work off my Raspberry Pi. Now, there is still a small window use case for that. So the Raspberry Pi would still be a good solution in situations where I know I'm going to be offline, right? I could still load up stuff onto the Pi and do all the work I need to do, but there's no need for that. So I was looking at having to spend about a week away from the house. And I mentioned on last week's show, I'm like, well, I need to get my laptop updated, because I'm going to have to take with me, because I'm going to have to code, and there's no two ways about it. And it's like, well, you've got a System 76 Linux machine as your everyday driver. Why don't you just SSH into that? Because, all your Docker is there, all your repos are there, everything you're working on is there. I'm like, yeah, I don't have a good answer to why I wouldn't do that. And so I did that. I originally was going to go the whole route of configuring my cable modem to do a port forward. And then somebody said, hey, Cloudflare lets you set up tunnels. I'm like, oh, interesting. So I was looking at Cloudflare and this tunnel thing they have, and I couldn't quite figure out how to set it up. Then I remembered, we use ngrok every day. I wonder if I could use ngrok.
We pay for ngrok.
We pay for ngrok. I'm like, I wonder if I can use ngrok to get to my SSH terminal. Not only can you use ngrok, they have specific commands, protocols for that. So I set up an ngrok tunnel to my machine. Everything's accessible. So as far as PHP Storm, that's out of the equation, and it's not a big problem for me. I'm perfectly comfortable using Vim to do my coding. So all my repos are on my System 76 machine.
Well, the reason I asked before you move on was I know there's that whole run PHP Storm on a server and basically forward the display to another machine. So I was wondering if you did something like that.
Right. No,
And I'm
I
assuming that's over SSH.
No, that's actually if you're talking about what I think you're talking about, and we might have covered it on one of the days you were out. We talked about this on the show. It's actually another application from JetBrains, an open source project from JetBrains that you run, and it puts PHP Storm in your browser is what it does. And we played with it, or I played with it very briefly when somebody brought it to my attention, and it works. I mean, it's a little clunky, but it works. And again, I could potentially do that from this machine. I mean, there's no reason I couldn't. That's one of the great things about having a big hunking Linux machine as your desktop. But I don't have any need to. Right? I just don't. I'm perfectly comfortable doing it in Vim. I don't have to code with PHP Storm. I'm not, that bad of a developer yet. But what I have started doing is I always have a terminal window open, always. But I've never used tmux, and everybody's always trying to push. I see all these articles about using tmux. I'm like, why? Like all these terminal apps have split panes and tabs, and I just don't. I never understood the point of having tmux. Well, now I do. Now every time I start my machine, I start a terminal session. I start a tmux session, and that tmux session is always available to me. So if I'm working on a project and I had enough forethought to start it in Vim because I knew I was going somewhere, I can just leave it in that tmux session, go somewhere, boom, boom, connect, pick it back up, and I'm working again. The tmux, the Vim, that's my development right there. As far as like the browser and like looking at my work and debugging and all that, that's all SSH port forwarding, right? So my database, I just port forward the 3306 over SSH. My browser stuff, 44380, port forward that over SSH. It all works flawlessly. I even have what's the database app I was using? Tables. There's a Tables app for the iPad, so I'm actually using the old database client that I enjoyed on the Mac again, and it all just works flawless. Now, keep in mind, I was doing all this over my local network, so I still haven't gone anywhere and see how bad it was on the bad connection. But again, this is where the tmux session comes into play. It doesn't matter how bad the connection is. It doesn't matter.
I can't wait to see this. I cannot wait to see this on your mom's dial-up connection.
Oh, it's gonna rock. It's gonna rock, man. So I'm very happy you pointed me in that direction. I need to make that ngrok command I need to figure out a way to make it so that it just fires when the system starts up. So if the system has to reboot, you can actually make it a service, a system service. But to do that, it takes over your ngrok config file. And the way I use ngrok, I already have like a bunch of configurations in there. So I need to think through that and figure out how I want to do it. But I'm very excited. So
the only issue I have with that, I would want that while I was away, but I don't want it necessarily always running. It's a security issue, right?
Well, I mean, as much as SSH is a security issue, it doesn't run on a standard port. It's a randomized port from ngrok. It doesn't have a standard URL, so you can't. I mean, you could potentially guess it, but it's not like, oh, it's going to be Eric at ngrok or something, or SSH Eric at. No, it's not that. It's not. I have no say.
You do, don't you? Can't you use, since you pay for the service, you can use your subdomain if you wanted.
Only for the HTTP. Only for the HTTP stuff. It didn't.
Oh, really?
I
didn't know that. I've never done anything other than that.
Neither had I until I looked into it. So So yeah, it is potentially a security issue, and I thought about like doing a like if this then that sort of thing where I can send myself an email, and when my system got it, and there was something in the subject line, it would fire a application on my system, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but yeah, so I'm excited about that. So yes, it's working. It's working well. It's gonna be. I'm like I'm not planning on taking my iPad with me. I mean my laptop with me. I'm planning on only taking my iPad because I have a reasonable sense of security now that everything I want to get done is on this system anyway. So
And if you don't have internet, you can just say, "All right, I guess I'm taking a vacation."
yeah, exactly.
See, it works.
So you know what? You know what my last task was for my current company?
No, because tomorrow's your last day. I'm sure you have another task.
Yeah. It was pushing out a Laravel update.
I bet you're not going to miss
No,
that.
I'm still going to have to do that, unfortunately.
I see. He's not going to miss it because he's still going to be doing it.
No, I pulled up the Trello board and saw that Eric had posted something that somehow I completely missed, which is that there's an SQL injection issue in Laravel.
Yeah, not that serious an SQL injection if you read it. I forget what the caveat was with it. It's basically only if you are allowing outside people to, if you're accepting an outside variable for like limit or something. I forget
limit
what
and
it was.
offset.
Yeah. So,
but that's pagination. You're letting that in usually anyway.
Most pagination has a static per page length,
scary.
but if you have a variable length per page, or if you're using data tables in any way, then that's where it would be vulnerable.
Oh, I didn't see the data table part.
Well, data tables uses limit and offset as part of its default configuration.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it is a bad one.
And all you have to do is type hint the variable if it is there and just say, hey, this has to be.
If you control that code, but with data tables, I don't control that code. My data tables is a Laravel add-on library that does the limit and stuff, the limit and offset inside its library.
This only affects SQL Server. Other database drivers such as MySQL and Postgres are not affected by this vulnerability.
Well, I was going to leave that out
like I said,
so that it seemed a little
deal.
bit more important that we discuss it, but...
No, if you're using MySQL, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You don't have to upgrade.
You know why you wouldn't ever have to worry about
upgrading?
If you were using hosting as a service?
We bring today's podcast to you in cooperation with Cloudways, a managed cloud hosting platform built for your PHP projects. If you simply wish to focus on your business, Cloudways is the way to go. They take over server management and security and free up time that you can dedicate to growing your business and acquiring new clients. Their platform offers you a choice of infrastructure as a service partners, such as AWS, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Linode, and Vultr. In addition, you get a performance-optimized stack, managed backups, and staging environment where you can test your code before pushing it to live servers. Best of all, Composer and Git come pre-installed so you can get your projects up and running quickly. All this power, simplicity, and peace of mind falls right in line with their brand slogan, moving dreams forward. Be sure to visit cloudways.com today, sign up using the promo code PHPUgly, and get a $25 credit.
Thank you to Cloudways.
Thanks, Cloudways. Hey, Eric. You want to know how you know Tom is not feeling well today? He was feeling sick because of his shot and all.
His face?
No. I think that was the first time that a Cloudways promotion other than his
That's
was
true.
used.
Oh, yes. That is probably correct. Well, see, that joke's not going to work on the podcast because I rotate him on the podcast. So,
oh, do you really?
The Cloudways commercial doesn't come through the podcast, so I have to insert
that
it.
makes sense. On the Zencaster side, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So, I
All right. So
no,
before
no.
we go on to anything else, I want to put a question out to the listeners. Go ahead, Tom. What?
No, you have a question. Throw it out there.
No,
I want to
go
get
ahead,
into
Tom.
crypto again a little bit, just a little bit here, because we.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
Eric,
put
let
the
me
question
put this
out.
question out.
That's
Let
what I
me
was
put this
saying.
question out first. I thought you were going to go on
No.
about Cloudways some more. Jeez, oh flip, man. Well, actually, John, I know you don't use Tailwind, right? Tailwind CSS. No.
I don't personally, but it is being used within the project.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they started using it
Interesting.
a little bit ago.
Tommy Boy, do you?
I've
do you
used
use
Tailwind in a couple of my throw together projects, but just as like the base template. I'm not doing anything Tailwindsy with it.
Cool. So I don't think either one of you guys are going to be able to answer this question. Very simple
Tailwind
question.
easy. I like that.
This goes out to the listeners, especially if you use Tailwind CSS. I've been doing a lot of Tailwind, and I am not a front-end guy. I am actually horrible with front-end stuff. Love Tailwind. Gives me more control, can move things around a little bit. Working a lot in Argus.to, your drop simple cron job monitoring solution. Been doing a lot of work in there, and that's all Tailwind driven. I got a question for my Tailwind peeps out there. I'm getting comfortable enough where I'm figuring out the conventions. So I'm like, hey, I want to do this. It's probably something like, margin -6 or something. I'm understanding the convention. The one convention that keeps tripping me up, and I'm hoping somebody has a trick for me to let me know, help me with this, is when to use text and when to use font. So like if I'm trying to change the color of something, now I know today that it would be like, I'm trying to make something green. I know today it would be text green, right? I know that because I've been doing it enough. But why isn't it font green, right? In some cases, the word font is used. Some cases, the word text is used.
Because
depending on if you're changing colors.
Font refers to the way, not necessarily colors, but just the font itself, right?
So fonts
Okay,
have.
I mean, if you're messing with the size, would you say if you want something to be extra large, because they do small, extra small, large, whatever, do you think it would be font -L for large, or do you think it would be text -L? I agree with you, Thomas. John?
Yeah.
I would
So
think
the trick here is that fonts as a
but I think it's text.
Fonts as a file format have some specific properties to them. Serif versus sans serif. Different sizes are actually rendered slightly differently. You can have a totally different font set in your large versus your small. There's sort of breakpoints for how fonts scale. Things like italicized or bold are handled within the font itself, not within the rendering engine. So it would depend on if it's something that's defined by the font as an object, or something that is not defined by the font, such as color or alignment, which is defined by the rendering engine.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
Feedback, if somebody has, you're probably pretty close. I mean, because just looking at it, I mean, it does have it. Well, I mean, yeah. So here's what's confusing. If you look under font size in the Tailwind CSS documentation, if you look under font size, the naming convention is text -L, text whatever 2XL. But if you look under font weight, right, then you're right. It is font -thin, font -light. I mean, it's just it's not a huge problem. It just as a matter of speaking, not that I guess it does factor into this. Italic or italicized, italic doesn't do font or text. It's just italic.
Right, but
So
the property it's actually modifying is font-style, and the same is true for font size, where
Right, but my point being is what is the kind of pattern that people like with this?
yes,
Be specific.
I think the same question could be asked of, is this PHP function haystack needle or needle haystack?
There's a logic behind that though, and if you ask Rasmus, he would tell you what it is. He tells you what the logic is.
Yeah,
I
but
always
it's still
forget what it is. But there's if it's an array, it's one. If it's not an array, it's another, or something like that.
And I'm sure there's a
logic.
similar logic behind this, but even if you knew it, you'd forget it.
I don't know.
Crypto. So we talked about
We have a lot of questions.
I'm not
today,
going
so
crazy. Shut up.
Don't go off on the
Here,
big
how do I mute
crypto
him?
thing. Okay.
There we go. So we've talked about NFTs, and one of the important things about NFTs is that the wallet it originates from authenticates it as valid. You know that this is Beeple's wallet, so it's Beeple's artwork. But a group who saw all this interest in crypto decided to form. They call themselves NFT theft, or no, yeah, NF theft. Terrible name. But what they've done is managed to create a contract in Ethereum that mints an NFT in someone else's wallet and then moves it to your wallet. So it looks like this artwork was originated from Beeple and then sent to the person who actually originated it. So the entire...
I read this article when I saw you post it, and it is fascinating. And the only good thing I read from it is that the person doing it is a white hat hacker.
Yes, this is not a malicious thing. They came out immediately and said, I'm doing it.
Right. They saw the vulnerability in the coding, saw that it was possible, went and tried getting it fixed prior to exploiting it, didn't get a response, and was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to exploit it.
Well, and it's going to be very, very hard to fix because Ethereum contracts have the ability to transfer items from one wallet to another. So you can create an NFT contract that is ERC compatible and creates a totally valid NFT, but that contract, after creating the NFT, transfers it to you. It artificially puts it in someone else's wallet and then transfers it from that wallet to you.
Well, that seems like it's something that could and should be fixed. There's no reason I should be able to create something
absolutely
in your wallet.
Except that this is the core of how Ethereum works, is that contracts can move things between wallets. And so we're getting into this area where you would need to have antivirus software running on contracts, which would add overhead of an unbelievable amount to every contract and wouldn't guarantee anything. You'd have to...
Sounds like it seems silly.
It's a tricky situation, and the issue is that NFTs, while a good idea, were not thought out as an attack vector for something.
Well, not until one sells for $70 million, of course not.
Right, which is, by the way, the one that he minted. So the process is called sleep minting, and he made a duplicate of the $70 million NFT that comes from, if you track the transaction, comes from Beeple's wallet and is then transferred to this white hat hacker. So he just faked a $70 million item, and there's honestly no good way to check if it's valid or not. We're going to have something like a Sotheby's or a boarding house that tracks authentication of NFTs, which fortunately already exists with with the NFT companies that are out there. They're gonna have to get together and say, hey, here's how we validate NFTs. But in doing that, they remove the decentralization, and it loses a huge amount of its inherent value. So this is a very, very interesting issue. Is that if you have a programmable platform, someone can hack your program. And if they can hack the program, then they're going to be able to do anything you can do just as well, just as easily, and fake the results of it any way they want to. So, yeah, it's an interesting issue.
Do either of you follow Ali Spagnola on YouTube?
No.
Great YouTuber, love her stuff, but she just did this whole video about how she sold an NFT for $500,000. It was all clickbait, trying to get people to watch it, and it's still on auction, but it's only up to 14.5 right now. Not quite the 500,000 mark.
That's still pretty good. We need to start getting in on this.
She's for 14 years she's been doing free art for people. Like, hey, come to my website, submit something you want, and she does a free drawing for you, and she'll send it to you. Obviously, it's very backlogged, but
well, $500,000 isn't free. Thank you very much.
Well, 14 years later, after like never planning on doing this, she sees people sell something for 70 million and is like, maybe I can get something from this.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hey, her video even says it's a money grab. So like, why not try?
So
somebody gave her one Bitcoin years ago that was worth $50 at the time. She didn't think anything of it. Then did a video on how it was worth $40,000, and that was months ago. Now it's up to 50K a Bitcoin. Crazy.
Well, still on the crypto issue, but in the programming realm that affects us. Do you guys use any of the free continuous integration providers like Layer CI or GitLab or Travis CI?
Not any longer. Used to.
Eric?
Nope. Just Get Actions.
I've used Travis for a couple things, and it's really nice. And Travis lets you like run tests and stuff. It lets you run your actual application to make sure it's working the way it should. And this includes functional testing with Chrome browser driver and things like that. So it'll actually spin up a browser and check that your site is working the way that it's supposed to be working. And people figured out, like, hey, if I can make them spin up a browser, I can make that browser do work. So they've started creating these GitHub repositories that commit every couple minutes and run on Travis or Shippable or GitLab and mine cryptocurrency and then exit.
Really?
And
that's fascinating.
It's really fascinating, but the problem is it's threatening to kill the free continuous integration industry because they're losing a lot of money on these compute times.
They're not going to kill it. The free tiers are going to wise up and say, okay, you're going to, instead of you get X amount of time for free, they'll have to limit it more. Most of them aren't like completely free. They want you to upgrade at some point.
Sure, but Travis CI made a blog post saying, hey, we've got a new pricing model because we can't stop people from doing this. So if you were using us, make sure you're not over our new levels and our new numbers because we're just killing everything after a certain point. So they're not necessarily killing the free tier, but they're having to restrict the free tier for people who previously used it genuinely and wanted it and needed open source projects, for example, where
they needed to do that anyway to make money. There's no way that I'm surprised it would stay free for an unlimited amount of time.
Well, the issue is that they're having trouble catching people doing this now. And some of these repositories are running frequently enough that they're making upwards of $75 a month, which...
Oh, is it because they do free for open source? Is it something like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that I mean, all of them have their own plans and models, but the fact that the free tier is getting more restricted because assholes are crypto mining on them isn't good for anybody.
Nah. Still a fascinating use case. People find ways around things.
So I've been thinking a lot about cryptocurrency stuff lately, and one of the things I realized is that ransomware stuff always requires payment in Bitcoin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your company is at risk of a ransomware attack, should you buy Bitcoin right now?
Not with where it's at.
Well, but it's just going to be higher later, isn't it? Like, the higher the price of Bitcoin goes, the more incentive there is to attack you.
But it doesn't matter. When the ransomware happens, it's based on a cost, right? It's going to be $10,000. You can pay, and they want it paid in Bitcoin. It doesn't matter when you spend that $10,000.
Sure, it does.
No, it doesn't. I mean, you can spend $5,000 now, and maybe have $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in the future potentially, if that's what you're.
That's what I'm suggesting.
That holds true with any stock or anything, right? That's not just a Bitcoin thing. But if you need to pay a $10,000 ransom, and I go to buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin that day, it's still $10,000.
Sure, but I'm saying if you buy 5,000 now, maybe when they ask for 7,000, you only...
Crypto is not an insurance policy.
I'm just saying, it was a thought.
And again, it's an investment like any other investment. If you want it to be crypto, then invest in crypto. If you want it to be stocks and bonds, invest in stocks and bonds. If you want to be real estate, real estate. It's all just an investment.
I'm buying ADA, right? I've told you about this. The main competitor to Ethereum.
I don't know what that is.
That's the similar concept of the live contracts as Ethereum, but they're already on a staked protocol. It's not a work protocol. So it's a very effective answer to the fact that right now trading Ethereum costs $100. But fine, if you don't think that's a good idea, then fine. We'll take it to Twitter to let the listeners tell Eric he's wrong.
So you're saying that you would pay ransomware?
I'm saying, well, a lot of places are paying ransomware. A lot of them.
Yeah. I have a client from my long ago past that paid ransomware.
Yeah, and I'm saying that right now, one of the diversities that Tesla is making is an investment into Bitcoin. And when they get a ransomware attack, they already have Bitcoin that they paid a lower price for that they can pay out of instead of having to pay out of cash on hand. Now, it's for them. It's their purpose is not as a backup plan or an insurance policy, but it does serve the effect of an insurance policy if the Bitcoin price keeps climbing the way it is. I just thought that was interesting.
It's a big if.
See, I got told by Eric last week that my parts of the podcast, there's too many pauses, there's too many holds. I get cut down from like a 30-minute period of talking down to about 5 minutes because I'm pausing too much. So I'm trying very hard to engage him, but he's drinking an iced tea and completely ignoring everything I say.
That looks like a tasty iced tea.
Iced beer. I'm just saying.
I'm not excited about crypto. I think it's an interesting topic, and I like participating in it, but you talk in circles about it. I'm not you specifically, just the topics of cryptocurrency is just a topic of circles to me. There's nothing earth-shattering in my world where I'm at. There's nothing earth-shattering about cryptocurrency. It should be the way global currency is being handled, and the fact that it's not being handled, that's what interests me. Countries and businesses accepting cryptocurrency. This hey, if you buy cryptocurrency today, you might have this much tomorrow conversation. I'm over it. I don't care about it. It's an investment. If you want to look at it as an investment, it's an investment. I don't care about that shit. This should be the global currency. I completely agree with it. I love the technology behind it. I'm also extremely concerned about the environmental impact cryptocurrency is having on our
Absolutely.
planet. We're burning through electricity.
Which is why I brought up ADA, because ADA is a staked protocol. It does not burn electricity to process. So you don't get that
Eric,
workload.
you had questions for us.
ADA also has huge support in Africa.
I had PHP stuff. Well, I have some PHP stuff for you guys. But I'm losing my engagement on this.
All right,
completely
Eric's going full screen. Bring it back. Energy levels.
Don't full screen me. No, energy level's gone now.
Oh God,
you killed it.
Done it
Your
again.
cryptocurrency cycle burned it out of me.
This is why I don't have a doom and gloom banner anymore.
I have questions. We have questions from this. I'm gonna tackle one of Keith's questions here. Or
Kevin.
Sorry, Kevin. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna tackle one of Kevin's questions because he has a few here that are pretty good questions. And one of the ones I've been thinking about a lot, that if I had a chance to do it over again, would I do it the same way? So one of the questions they had was for a smaller company using neither Slack nor Discord, as far as integrations go, such as automation, testing, notifications, that sort of thing, would you choose Slack or Discord as far as the future is concerned in terms of features, usefulness, and to developers?
So I'm reading that as, if you're not using either and you had to choose one, which would you choose?
That's how he worded it. Yes. Do you have any insight?
Well, okay.
On
There's
that, your thoughts?
there's a missing
For a
component,
business?
which is Teams. So it's not just Slack and Discord. It's Slack, Discord, Teams.
There's a lot of stuff out there. You can respond however you want to respond, Thomas. Just give a response.
I have trouble with Discord.
Yes, for a business, John.
Yeah, I would say
Go ahead, John.
For a business, I would say Slack.
I would agree, 100%.
Any particular reason for that?
I don't know enough about Discord. I use it, but not in any sort of business aspect.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to Slack, the integrations into Slack, the automations, it just seems more like a useful business tool. Discord was born out of the gaming industry, right? Allowing people to talk together. And it's gained a lot of popularity, but I still don't see it in a business setting the way it is currently.
Thomas, did you have any additional input?
Yeah, I mean, Discord is organized for people who want to do a lot of one-on-one communication or group voice or sharing their stream. Discord has a store for video games. As a company, Discord sends the wrong message. And you would have people with a play application on their work machines. Discord is cool, and it does a lot of really interesting things as far as like video sharing, audio sharing, and it's actually quite nice on Android phones for notifications, making sure they get through and stuff. But Slack just is the business standard at this point. And aside from that,
you sure it's not Skype? You sure Skype's not the
So
business
it's
standard?
not.
So if you want, you've got the feedback from some amateurs there. If you want some professional feedback from an established CTO, I'm willing to give that to you free of charge, Kevin. Just because you're
And senior engineer.
So this is one of the areas. Had the technology been where it's at today when we made the decision, I might have made a different decision. So the quick and dirty answer is, if you have the money and it's not your money and you have it to spend, go with Slack. It's going to alleviate a lot of the headaches. There's the professionalism piece that Thomas referenced in his talk. And it is your Slack is just your company, right? Whereas Discord, you have some discoverability there. You're on, these public servers. There's a lot can go sideways in Discord. I like Discord. Obviously, we use it for the show. That's what it's for, right? They share a lot of the same features. Now, if you don't have money to spend, I would very much discourage you from trying to do anything on the free version of Slack. It seems appealing,
Really?
but you start to learn very quickly that you need that history search. There are a lot of the professional things you need. If you don't have the money, there are other solutions out there. John talked about Skype. I mean, Skype is what we used and what our clients used before we introduced them to Slack. Skype allows you to do bots now. It allows you to have rooms. I'm not a big fan of Skype. I don't particularly like it. There are these other Microsoft has Teams. I actually don't know. I have Teams installed on my Linux machine. It drives me crazy. I had to install it for one stinking meeting for one stinking vendor, and it's infected my Linux machine like a virus. I need to uninstall the damn thing. But talking to you as a CTO, talking to you as a business owner who pays for Slack, and we pay a pretty penny. I think it's we see the benefit of it because we got over the hump. But had I had to do that today, things like Telegram, I think I would look more closely at Telegram. Mattermost, which is...
It depends on what you're trying to do with it. I mean, Slack already has so many integrations built into it that if you're looking for a lot of automations...
Yeah, but Telegram you can tie bots and stuff into Telegram. But Mattermost would be the thing I would really look into. If you're on a budget, I think Mattermost, the paid service, is out of the box cheaper than Slack. But if you're really tight on cash, Mattermost is open source, and it is a damn close clone of Slack. I've spun up Mattermost a couple times in recent years, and it is pretty damn spot on with Slack. So, like, just talking about how I have this big hunkin' Linux desktop on my machine. If I was if money was tight for me and I'm trying to do a startup and I've got 3 or 4 people and I want a Slack sort of solution for them, I could very easily run Mattermost on my desktop and just let that be the thing. And then when I'm ready to pay for it, when I'm ready to graduate, they have a paid service. I would look at that. So it depends. I mean, again, if it's not your money and money is not really a issue, there's no reason not to go with Slack. Tom said it, John said it, I'm saying it. It's kind of the business standard now. And there's nothing for you to worry about with Slack. It'll integrate with a lot of things. It's just, if something's going to work with one of these platforms, it's going to work with Slack, then something else. So, but if money is a problem, if that's one of the issues, there are other solutions out there you should consider.
That's true about so many services, though, right? Like, we talk about PHP Storm all the time. You're a professional developer, you should be using probably a professional IDE, although VS Code is a very close it's very close to PHP Storm, but it's not.
Well, and I would also bring up that Slack has guaranteed uptime, SLAs. They have a huge investment in security. So those are business level things to be interested in.
You know what also is a business level thing to be interested
What's that?
in, Thomas? How well your application is running in the real world.
But how would I ever know?
And you know how you can do that? Honeybadger.io. That's how you would know. They have a free tier. You don't even have to pay for Honeybadger.
Why did I think of that?
We really need to come up with a better spot for Honeybadger. I feel like we're doing them a disservice.
No, these are my favorite spots.
They're so nice to us. They're so nice to us, and they're so accommodating, and I feel like they get the short end of the commercial segment here. But yeah, HoneyBadger.io is one of our Patreon sponsors, and this is they're on their second month now. So they listened to their spots through the first month and went, we'll do it another month. Why not? That's how cool they are. So if you are a developer professional, hobbyist, doesn't matter. HoneyBadger.io has solutions to help watch your application when you can't watch it and alert you with issues and help you track those issues down. It's a great service. I've been implementing it more and more on Diego Dev properties. We'll probably continue to do it even well after they finish their sponsorship with us.
Just get sick of us.
I'm very close to it, to actually giving them their money back and just paying for the next tier up of HoneyBadger. I think that's how this works, man. But HoneyBadger.io is, I have no discount code to give you, no promo code to give you. Just go to HoneyBadger.io, sign up. If they ask where you heard of them, tell them the 3 PHP ugly guys sent you.
So that just integrates. That just integrates with Laravel, though, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And they actually friend of the show, TJ
only
Miller,
Laravel
is the one who wrote the no, not only. It's not even only PHP. Thomas.
What?
It's, you should know this by now. It's everything. It's.
You are so bad at this.
I almost said Perl. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's not Perl. It might be Perl. I don't know. I don't remember seeing Perl, but it's Python. It's Ruby. It's everything. It's the whole. Maybe it's Perl. I don't know. Let's put it out there. Let's say it's Perl. Let's say it's Rust. I don't know. It's everything. They integrate with everything. But no, definitely Python, definitely Ruby, 100% PHP, and even PHP-specific things like Laravel. I believe it even have WordPress and a couple others.
JavaScript, Symfony, all the big names. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's very easy to install. It's a composer install. You can't.
Speaking of,
can't beat it.
What the hell is Elixir?
Elixir is the Java is the
What's Crystal?
The Webpack engine for.
It's the new Ruby.
Oh, it's a new thing?
Ruby on Rails.
No.
What is Crystal? I don't even know what Crystal is. I'm so out of the loop.
Oh no, yeah, it's not the Elixir you're thinking of, Thomas. Right. I thought you were being funny. No, yeah, Elixir is actually a thing. It's a whole language.
Speaking of Symfony, FabPot issued a gist out there for people who want to block Flock by default. We talked about Flock last week. It's Google's way of doing third-party cookies without third-party cookies. And not only are the WordPress people upset about it, but it looks like Symfony is going to block Flock requests by default as well. So don't be surprised if all of the frameworks out there by default have Flock functionality or permissions policies in the headers by default, because it looks like people really hate this idea. So that'll be in our show notes if you want to see, if you're running Symfony or Laravel and want to see how to block Flock requests. It's just a simple default header.
So this doesn't need to be a Symfony thing, right? I mean, I can just add that. I should be adding that header.
Yeah. So this is
all my applications. If I don't agree.
This is just a simple default header. The gist that's in the show notes shows how to do it in Symfony, but it simply says permissions-policy. The value is interest-cohort equals open close parent. And doing that should disable Flock on your site.
And the only so going back to what Flock is, it would allow Google to see who visits my website?
No.
And gather information about them?
So the way Flock works is that it uses your browsing habits to develop a profile of you and send that profile to people who request it. So, Google is saying, there's only going to be about 500 or so people per profile. But the idea is that it doesn't give you any specific data about the user. It just says, hey, this user is part of a group that's interested in buying mattresses right now. or this user is part of a group that wants to get a home loan. And their reasoning is pretty weak on whether or not you can actually be tracked with this type of data. But it is not a whole lot better than third-party cookies as they stand. So a lot of people are trying to get it nerfed on the internet by having default installs of software just say, I'm not tracking my users. Because what it does is if you don't purposefully opt out, then Chrome will use your website to account for the user's browsing habits.
So bringing this back to PHP, the convention that I was talking about that Rasmus mentioned with haystack, needle, needle, haystack, it turns out all string functions use haystack, needle, and all array functions use needle, haystack. It's that simple. So if it's a string function, it's haystack, needle, and if it's an array, it's needle, haystack. Bam.
What if I'm looking
You're
for
done.
a string and
no
an array?
Confusion. You are a string and array. I'm done talking to you. I'm muting you now. You're now being muted. I got things to talk about.
Are we going to go back into Kevin's questions?
Hey, Kevin. So your second question, which is a pretty long question. Oh, Dev Circus, I put something down here too, man. Can't even keep up. We can't even keep up with the show questions. You're rambling about cryptocurrency and beans, whatever, man. People want to know about.
Speaking of where people are asking us these questions, where are people asking us these questions, Eric?
It's in our show questions channel on our Discord, which is discord.phpugly.com. Thomas, you should know this.
I do know this.
Dude, what are
Why do you
pointing to? What's wrong with you? Stop
trying to point
pointing
to
at things.
You point to it because he's got you big right now. You can point right down there.
You can all
See,
point
right
simultaneously.
Okay.
You're drunk.
Discord.phpugly.com. Your second question, which was a pretty lengthy question, but it kind of comes down to, and this is going to circle back to something I talked about earlier as well, about when you have to have like these quick interfaces for developers and non-developers to work in, and you talk about things like WordPress. Is this a situation for WordPress? Where do I want to go with this? Again, if it's a Laravel application, and I kind of lead to that because you said, well, a dev is happy with straight Laravel. So I'm assuming you're talking about Laravel applications.
You're leaving the whole question out, so it's very confusing to people that are not paying attention.
Okay, so the question is, where there needs to be both developers and marketers to both manage a marketing funnel, while a dev would be happy with straight Laravel, non-coders need a way to also edit stuff such as wording, layout, etc. This makes things like WordPress and extensions like Div Builder attractive to get pages up quickly and give marketers control over the layout. It goes on about this. We actually have this problem with the client. Again, depending on what it is you're trying to do, I don't want to toot the horn too loud about this, but if it's quick and dirty, Nova has a lot of functionality in it, and it has some nice GUI sort of text areas you can create back there. We have a client that has needs like this, and they actually ended up going with a third party. What's it called, John? Wix, which is like a I don't know how to explain
it's
it.
It's a drag and drop builder.
Yeah, and the issue is, I mean, and the same thing can be said about WordPress, right? Because it's an entire platform, and the challenge becomes, well, hey, I want users who log into my website now to be logged into the blog. And it's like, okay, now I got to come up with these bridges and these translations. And it just if the more you can do within the application that you have, the better. I would suggest, if it's a Laravel app, looking at Nova, looking at some of the solutions out there, because you can do a lot. It's not going to be as pretty as Wix or WordPress, but depending on how much they need to do, it might be able to do what you need to get done.
I think I have a much more simple answer. And that is, you've described needing a CMS. Now, whether or not it's a custom CMS, like a fully custom CMS, or if it's Nova, or if it's WordPress, or if it's October, which is a CMS for Laravel, what you're describing is needing a content management system so that people who are less informed on the programming side of things are not only able to edit things, but able to do them securely with limited permissions, not able to permanently ruin things. So I would do more research into what a CMS is and how you can either build or implement one in whatever framework you'd like.
There you go. So we have more doom and gloom,
Oh,
Thomas.
sweet. Which one is it?
Yeah. We have a composer command injection vulnerability. And so they're telling people to immediately upgrade your version of Composer, regardless of if you're on version 1 or version 2. There's a composer injection vulnerability that you should probably upgrade.
Now, I'm not going to ruin this one real early on in the story like John did with my vulnerability issue, where he brought up that it was only for SQL Server. But
okay, was there more to that?
But I am actually going to do that and say that this is only for people running Mercurial based repos.
Not running Mercurial, but this is the problem. It's not running Mercurial. It's if one of your packages is hosted on Mercurial.
Well, you have to have Mercurial installed locally.
Dependency packages. No, this is a Composer install.
No. Composer install won't handle Mercurial without Mercurial installed on the local machine. Yeah, because
really?
this is a vulnerability in Mercurial's executable, which is called HG, which is the symbol for Mercury. And it has to do with the fact that their implementation allowed for --config in the packages, which could be overflowed into a command that executed locally. So it is a serious vulnerability, and there's a good chance that Mercurial is installed on your system by default, so there's no reason not to update. But again, not a lot of people using Mercurial anymore. In fact, the company that owns Mercurial, which is Atlassian, doesn't support it on their version of GitHub anymore either, Bitbucket.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bitbucket canceled Mercurial repos about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. So it's actually hard to run a Mercurial repository right now.
So what was the actual vulnerability? If I had Mercurial installed locally and had Composer, what was
if
the
you were
vulnerability?
fetching a Mercurial repository as like a library or something, then the Mercurial repository could be configured to overload the config argument of Mercurial.
So I would have to be requiring a Mercurial repository that was vulnerable.
That was not vulnerable, but that was infected. Yes, malicious.
Malicious.
Yeah.
So it's a good security vulnerability to get taken care of, but I would say the actual risk of a problem is close to zero.
Well, that doesn't sound like doom and gloom, Eric. You lied to me.
That's why he doesn't do doom and gloom. Doom and gloom is my job.
Sounds like we're winding down. Thank you, Patreon.
Thank you, Patreons. Look at all those names.
We have a new one.
Who's the new one? I didn't see the update on Dropbox.
It should be there.
Kendrick B?
Let's see if the new one's there. Oh, Kendrick B's been there. Here we go. RCS. This was last week. That was Here we come. Here it is. Yes!
Ben R.
Ben?
Ben R.
Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
I love that we've...
Your new 8.1 release manager.
Oh, really?
Ben R. We do appreciate it.
What is the point of
that's who that
what is the point of
honestly.
censoring his last name if you're going to go out there and immediately say, by the way, it's Ben Ramsey?
I didn't
Well,
say
we're
that.
assuming.
You said that.
We're assuming it could be any Ben.
I like to assume our
Ben
listeners
Rogers.
are intelligent. In fact, I would go so far as to say I know that they're intelligent because they're listening to us.
So funny story. Ben pinged me on Discord, and I do appreciate it. I think he did gloat a little bit, but whatever. So if you're not familiar, Ben Ramsey is one of the release managers for 8.1,
Which did get
PHP
decided this week.
8.1. I was in the running. Yeah, the votes were tallied. It's official. I think last week we were just forecasting at that point, right?
No, it's official. Nobody loves you.
Yeah, so it's official. It's Ben Ramsey and some other dude, and then of course
And
the
then
veteran.
Eric.
No, Eric's not even on the list. So here's the cute thing. I thought I do appreciate Ben reaching out to me, making sure that this was all in good fun, and it really is. I mean, to say my ego didn't take a hit is not an understatement. Okay, but I do appreciate the fact that we had so many people volunteer to be release managers, and so many qualified people. I mean, it was I tallied up the votes. I would have come in I think there were 8 people. I think I would have come in 7th place, and everybody got more votes.
But it's because of us that there are so
definitely,
many release managers. Really, you're your own worst enemy in this.
Whatever. Am I though? I mean, really, it's probably better for everybody that I'm not. Let's be real. But so he says, hey, he goes, they're going to be doing 8.2 votes. Just put your name back in the hat. I had my name in the hat for 8.0 and lost to oh man, the kid inspired me, and I keep forgetting his name. Begins with a G. Gabriel. He goes, I lost to Gabriel. So I'm like, okay, let me check this out, because they have everything in the public. So I just went back to the votes for 8. Yeah, sure, he lost in a runoff. It was like a tied vote. And keep in mind, they only had one release manager in the veteran. So they had a veteran, and then they had one new release manager, and it ended up being a tie. And he lost by 1
So
vote
it was so controversial that they added a second.
Don't think the humiliation I suffered with nobody voting for me is even close to what you went through in 8.0, Mr. Ramsey. You don't know me.
Thank you for being a Patreon.
Just saying, but I appreciate.
Well, so
and thanks for being a Patreon.
Eric, I have a question for you.
That was the ruse the whole time,
better.
Thomas. See, it was a long con. See, I never wanted to be release manager.
Yeah.
I just wanted him to become a Patreon.
No, he's just
member.
rubbing that
And,
release manager money in your face
his
now.
guilt. That's it. Yeah, he's making the big release manager money now, and he's just.
Yeah, it's like driving your Ferrari up to the old 7-Eleven where your high school bully works.
Oh, that's a
Eric, I have a question for you because Kevin asked on Discord, what's the best use case you found for AWS Lambda from a Laravel community perspective? And you also have a ticket on here about Google Cloud Functions for PHP.
You see the way I was going to tie all that stuff together if we had more time, Thomas? You see how I had like stacks things of wanting to address questions.
Clearly, I don't.
Another, yes. We're going.
We
We're going to
talked so long about crypto.
We're going to
About
have to
PHP
wrap this
Storm?
up pretty quick because we are running along. But yeah, that was another question of his. The short answer, Kevin. And what was the question again? Tom?
What's the best use case you've
what's the
found
best
for
use
AWS
case?
Lambda from a Laravel community perspective? So for those who don't know, AWS Lambda is a quick spin-up, spin-down computational network provided by AWS, a service provided by AWS. So serverless service
Yeah.
for serving servables to your services without
servers.
with servers that are defined as serverless.
So the quick answer there, Kevin. Excuse me. Again, it's a money issue, right? We never hit
Don't
a
run a
threshold.
WordPress site on it.
Yeah, it's 100% a money issue.
We never really hit. Yeah, we never really hit with that good balance. Now we tried using the Laravel product Vapor, and no matter how, and we again keep in mind we did it when Vapor first came out. I mean, this is a few years ago now, like 3-4 years ago now. But no matter how we configured things, it was always more expensive than putting something on a server. So again, it's about scale.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but you're acting like it's an end all be all, right? It's all about scale, Kevin. So, if you're throwing a lot of compute power at something, and even if they're like API endpoints, maybe your API endpoints only take a hit, but they take like massive hit during the day, but nobody uses them at night. Whatever that case might be. That's really the use case for serverless solutions, right? It's something that's needed in just kind of sprints and gets hit hard, but isn't needed 24 hours, right? So in our case, we were trying to understand serverless and Vapor. So to John's point, we put a WordPress site out there, and we just messed around with the configuration and how it was configured, and we actually didn't even spend a lot of time doing that. But for that, it was the WordPress site for our local meetup, our local SDPHP user group, right? So it's a extremely low trafficked website. I mean, it almost never gets hit. So the baseline cost of running it on Vapor was outweighed the baseline cost of running it on hardware, because it just wasn't that impactful. It didn't require that much scale. And again, Vapor is only one solution. I just did an interview with the developer who created Breath, which is a PHP library that basically Vapor just expands on, but lets you deploy in serverless in the AWS serverless environment. Again, Laravel, straight PHP, doesn't matter. So again, it's a question of cost and scale. How much does your hardware cost today to run? How much traffic is hitting it 24 hours a day? Is it being hit 24 hours a day? Is it only being hit 6 hours a day? It's not a very easy answer. And there are development considerations to take in when doing serverless. You don't have things like local disk storage. You have to use a service like S3 and how you do your cache. So it's not just I don't want to run this here, I want to run it on serverless solution. You have to take in consideration all the other kind of services that you need to bolt onto it. So that's the best answer I can give you. If you have a crazy application that sees a lot of traffic, that does a bunch of scaling, but the amount of traffic hitting it isn't consistent, maybe it's really low at night and really high during the day, serverless might be a good solution. You just need to do the research yourself. But yeah, to John's point, don't run your mom's WordPress site on it, because it's going to
and that's where I really like how Google words their version of this, which is Cloud Functions, Whereas Lambda is like, yeah, it's a serverless thing. But Google says, yeah, it's a function that you're running on our servers instead of on yours. And that's a definition, that's a defining line that's I think is really important, because it says, hey, this isn't for your application. This is for something that has load that you don't want to carry, that you want to outsource to another company.
So you're kind of jumping ahead. What Thomas is referring to is this week, Google announced that it's introduced PHP on Cloud Functions. So again, Google had a solution where you could run PHP in their environment, but much like Lambda was, it was all this funky workarounds. Matter of fact, I think I did a user group talk on running Laravel in Google Cloud. But now Google announced this week that their serverless solution now supports PHP. And Microsoft has a serverless solution too. It's not called Functions. I forget what Microsoft is called. There's 3 serverless solutions. I know Bref only works on Lambda. Huh?
What? Money Pit? Was that it?
Oh. I know Bref only works in Lambda. I have not had any time to spend with the new Cloud Functions from Google. Like I said, just announced this week, so it's always kind of interesting to see how these things work out. But
so I've done a little bit of reading on this, and their Cloud Functions API basically says, here, you get to define a class that has one function, and that function executes on our servers and sends its data back to you. The end. So it's a very simplified system.
That's the other thing to keep in mind. It's like your code is not out there running if it's not being used. You know, it goes to sleep, and it's pretty cool.
I love Eric's sense of humor starts to just dry up the more we talk about crypto or Apple, or you can't see it, but I have a list on the wall here that says "Do not talk about," because it upsets Eric.
I just can't be the driving humor around everybody's topic if I don't have anything to contribute. So I'm sorry. If you want to talk about crypto, you need to come up with your own funny shit about crypto.
I forget that Eric isn't my groupie and doesn't have to laugh at my jokes.
I tried helping you along with your crypto talk.
It's the cold stare from the other Skype camera that disrupts me. It's like having a heckler in the audience.
You guys, you and John both will just publicly criticize me nonstop.
We absolutely do not.
Smile and take you. Oh my God! I will put together highlight.
God, that would be a depressing thing to do, though. You'd have to call me at 4 a.m. again, crying.
All right.
I was putting together a highlight reel, and you guys are so mean.
You're not helping your case here at all, just so you know.
That's my job subtitle. I'm senior engineer not helping his case at all.
Okay.
Is this your first title? Because you've said it a few times through this show.
Senior engineer.
I forget.
I'm very proud of it, because I've been senior PHP engineer for a long time, and this is a step forward. And if you're in the Discord,
Dropping PHP made you happy?
Doesn't it always?
I'm confused. No.
Do you know why John is the CEO and I'm the CTO?
Because no.
Do you know why? We don't either. Just hope somebody would tell us.
Because 9 years ago when we started, so we had a lawyer say, "You have to name somebody CEO," and we flipped the coin.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And there were 3 of us at that time. So
which one of you looks best in court? All right, it's John.
Hey, Ben, nobody voted for me then either.
We didn't get to talk about Basecamp at all, which I suppose would count as political talk, so we wouldn't be allowed to talk about it.
I don't know anything about Basecamp.
Next week?
You don't know about Basecamp?
Oh, we got to do this again next week.
I don't know about Basecamp. Did
I
something
know what
happen next-
Basecamp is. I don't know about any story.
Are you
or any
kidding?
political issue with it.
Looks like we have something to talk about next week now, don't we?
I'm amazed you guys don't know about this. Where they Basecamp
I have no clue.
I don't even see a card here.
Basecamp completely shut down like all of their diversity.
Oh, you just
Yeah, you just didn't scroll down.
dirty bastard.
That's all. No, you missed it because you didn't scroll down. We're gonna have to talk about the Basecamp. I thought you guys had known about this and just didn't want to talk about it because it's crazy. But
I have no way. I have absolutely.
Basecamp announced that they're no longer allowing political conversations in the office. No more benefits for health and wellness outside of the office. No more committees, specifically the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. No more dwelling on the past. No more peer reviews, and work harder. And all of this was in a single blog post by the CEO, who basically said, yeah, this whole experiment on being cool about diversity and stuff failed, so now we're just a business. And it did not play well on the internet.
I've always had issues with
Well,
Basecamp.
They
I've
suck,
talked about this on
aside
shows
from the
past.
software being terrible.
Well, but that's their mentality, right? It's like, okay, well, now we're doing things like this, and everybody's going to shut up and do it our way. It's the same mentality. So, whatever. I don't care much for Basecamp, so I won't go to work for them.
Yeah, I don't use their products.
I won't go to work. So yeah. Is
This
that
is cancel culture at its finest. You're just canceling Basecamp for no reason. I don't
Well,
get
it's
it.
kind of the opposite of cancel culture because they basically said, like, we won't allow culture in our company whatsoever.
Yeah, they canceled culture. They don't allow it.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
enough
haven't
about
read
it. I'm
the
not gonna
article.
speak
I
to
don't
it.
know what extent it goes to. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, were they extremely progressive and now they're pulling back and now it looks like they've changed course?
They
I
were
don't know. I
extremely
don't care.
progressive, except that it turns out that the people at the very top were extremely not progressive, and when they got called out on it, decided to disband the people who noticed. So it was kind of a as we do as we say, not as we do issue. Anyways,
Yeah.
They've been in business 21 years. Wow.
you haven't seen their sites. It still looks like it's from 21 years ago.
Wasn't like the. I know I ask this all the time, but isn't DHH tied to Basecamp or something? The DHH being the creator of Ruby on Rails.
I think that was a long time ago.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Yeah, I remember, like, if you were into Ruby on Rails, Basecamp was what everybody talked about, because somehow DHH is associated to it, and they were a big Ruby on Rails shop, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, no, yeah.
Specifics. Don't care.
Currently CTO of Basecamp. Yeah.
DHH is? Yeah, I knew it was something like that. Like, he has a big stake in it, or has a big stake in it. Yeah, I remember that. So, I think it's part of his. I think it's a very much Eric John situation. I think it's part of his company that he created, and he just, decided to take on a more significant role of CTO because nobody voted for him to be CEO. I don't know. I'm guessing.
He just didn't want to be sued.
We had three founders of Diego Dev, and I won the fourth seat to be CEO. I don't know how it happened. Somehow they created another seat beyond three, and I came in second on that. To be quite honest with you, so there was a chair in the restaurant with us that won before I did.
That sounds about right.
Hurtful. Okay,
Sarah Goldman voted for the chair.
We're wrapping it up.
I knew I could make you smile before this episode ended.
No, I'm crying on
The
the
chair's a
inside.
Patreon now, though.
Okay, that's it. Episode 234, 234 is in the books. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom.
John.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man.
We should probably just cut that down, like cut it off right there. Can't hear you.
That's what I've been saying.
Thomas.
I've been trying to watch the Skype window because the delay on OBS.
It's
So
big.
I keep accidentally interrupting you guys, and I'm trying not to.
What do you mean?
Because of the body motions, I can tell on Skype if you guys are pausing or like putting a statement out there to be answered or responded to. But in OBS, because I'm watching the really delayed video feed, I'm always like a second late, and I start interrupting a new thought.
Oh, okay. I actually see it. People can hear us on this
Yeah.
scene, right? Yeah, I'll just keep this up then. That's good.
They could hear us on the other scene too, right?
No, the outro. Yeah, the outro. They can hear us too.
Yeah,
Oh shit! Really?
yeah.
Oh god damn!
The intro, no, we're off. Like we're getting
Yeah.
ready for the show, but on
There's
the
a
outro,
there's a problem with
we're on there.
scene-specific audio mixer levels that caused me to like delete all of our audio channels. Like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Glad you told me
Yeah.
that. I didn't know that.
So I can't have levels specific to a scene because you guys are all actually individual scenes. It includes the 3 scenes of us. So I can't adjust your levels.
You need to go back to the Patreon scene for a second.
Did you stop Zencaster,
Yeah.
by the way?
Yeah, you need to put together a scene like this with a browser to the left and do more browser stuff.
So
for
I
people
have that.
watching. I mean, they get.
I have that, but
Yeah.
OBS does not like my browser right now. I think it's because it's 3D accelerated or something. If I try to pull up a browser, it will. No, but
Don't
if I
break
hit window capture and then I add Chrome, not that one. Oh, it's working now.
Look at your hangouts there.
It wasn't working for a while.
What the hell are you ordering, man? So what I typically do is I push up so that the toolbars and stuff are all off the screen, and then I would do it all the way out to our windows for this.
Well, yeah, I'll have to. I had a scene for that and it wasn't working, so I'll have to remake a scene.
Yeah,
That's the only reason I didn't have it. Oh, this new job is so crazy. I'm
is
interviewing
that?
I'm interviewing an intern next week. Like one of the first things I'm doing. And then I'm getting like up to speed with because they're using hardcore Scrum, which I haven't used in a long time, like since business.com did presentations on it. So
I missed it. What are they using?
Scrum.
So getting used to like the velocity stuff and the story points, and fortunately the owner is very, very cool, and we've been talking frequently, so he's getting me up to speed really quick.
But your team is really small, right? And they're still doing Scrum?
Multiple teams, 5-ish people each.
Oh, really? I for some reason I was under the impression it was only like 4 developers.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, I don't want to get too into that, but it is more than I thought originally. I probably told you it was like 4 or 5, but it's not. It's more in the area of 10 to 12. Moving fast. They got that startup speed, you know?
Yep. Oh man, I'm tired.
All right. Do some Rocket League. Too tired?
I will let you know or not.
I'm sweating
Soon.
here. It's right now. It's like 75 degrees. It's gonna snow on Saturday. It's gonna snow on Saturday night. Yeah.
Really?
Because of the mountains, you get this weird, unpredictable, bizarre weather. I mean, like super predictable. They know 10 days from now it's going to rain on Wednesday. But still, it's going to be 81 on Saturday, and then it's going to be 65 on Sunday.
But that doesn't sound like snow.
Well, it's going to go on, let's see. Oh, they've upgraded it. So on Wednesday, it's going to go below freezing at night, so it's going to snow.
That sounds miserable.
That's great.
I'll stay
Yeah.
in San Diego, thanks. Eric, you still talking about moving?
I don't know, man. Depends on what day of the week it is. It's all
Thursday.
over the map
We're
right now.
recording.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good answer. Yes, no, maybe.
You should
so,
come to
I don't
Colorado.
know.
The weather's very nice.
It has hit our radar. If I can be totally truthful, I think Texas is pretty much completely off the table now.
What happened?
The wife was just the politics in Texas, all the craziness that happened during the pandemic. Yeah, just not interested in being a part of that. But
There's little
it's-
circles in
I don't
Texas that are pretty good.
yeah, I don't know if we. I don't know. Man.
Everybody, thank you for watching. We're going to kill the stream so Eric can just cry quietly.
Thank you.